They should help me out because I have a podcast or something. Send money.
Attention, Honda. Honda Cattlemon's says you need the 6-speed in the RX models. Over and out.
Enjoy the critiques, criticisms, compliments. You have no idea what I just said. Thank God I called it out. Let me just start over, okay? I started the show. Yeah, I thought I was going crazy too, Marco. I started the show. Well, you know, my computer screen started telling me to fix something, and I did. But anyways, first I started calling for Logan, and there's no Logan. There's no co-host. No Logan here. You're going to have to go with just Jimmy solo here on the thing. I'll edit that out so I look really smart. So I'm going to go, welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. So you'll miss that whole first part and you won't know what really happened unless you're a live viewer. But thank you, everybody, for letting me know what's going up or no going down or anything. I said that this amazing pod show is where I answer 9 out of 10 questions without referring to a reference manual. You put the question in the chat. I answer. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I'm a washed-up ex-motorcycle racer. Former worked at magazines guy. I ride a lot of dirt bikes. Dirt bikes have been my life, and the reason I spend this 2 hours giving back is so that as I ride mermaids when I'm in the ocean and unicorns when I'm on land, to the carbon-free rainbow of cash flow that all creators like myself get. Just living the dream here. So ask away with your questions, buddies. I can fix it. Hey, Jimmy, you need a sign language person. I have a friend who is a really good sign language person. And she would probably think that my intro was awesome because the second one wasn't as good. But she probably doesn't watch it. I wouldn't watch this show either. I have a hard time watching it when I have to edit it. And I just have to watch it to remember a couple good snippets that I can put at the beginning, like the hook that you're supposed to put in this stuff to get people to want to watch it. But, yeah, I'm glad we're all going crazy, and I still don't know how to do a pod show. I don't even have a co-host, so it's going to be really hard to have a sip of something to keep me refreshed here on the show and keep the show going, unless I do this. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, those sounds, maybe you can hear them. They're not loud enough. I got to fix something here. I got to fix a lot of things here. But I have a lot of questions queued up tonight. I am going to fix some people's problems. I'm going to suggest some things to other people, and then I'm going to try not to say you're stupid, but we'll see how it goes. I was going to actually, when I actually thought I was going to do a little bit of prep for the show, I was going to ask AI the same questions and see what kind of answer I got, just to see what it was. Because I had an interesting experience today. Well, it's been getting more and more interesting. Is I wanted to know how to do something. I can't remember what it was. I wanted to know how to. Well, anyways, so there was a video that I knew existed that would tell me how to do this. And now when I searched it, it went straight to now the Googles, the Gemini actually reviewed the video for me so I don't even have to watch it. So we can just kiss our YouTube revenue streams goodbye, because now I'm going to ask this to Google tomorrow. Maybe somebody could do it right now for me and post how it goes. Ask it to review the last episode of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday and see what it says. It won't. It'll tell you that the video exists, but it won't take you there. It'll just tell you what we said, I think. So I might just produce a whole episode with that'd be bitching. I could just have AI do this show, and I wouldn't have to worry about getting back from riding or something like that. Had a really good. Speaking of that, had a really good thing last night. I'll show you. I went and did. I had this look on my face. That look right there. Just that was me last night. So I'm holding up my Hot Shoe Hall of Fame winner of winners, champion of champions plaque. And I went and practiced last night at the Gene Woods Racing Experience on Fremont Street, downtown Vegas. We had to go pick up a friend at the airport. And we managed to sneak in some go-kart laps, which is super fun. By the way, Hot Shoe Hall of Fame is January 29th. It's a Saturday evening. It's free. You can go there and hang out with motorcycle legends. And I've been told I'm going to get my ass kicked in the karts by Eddie Lawson. So I hope Eddie Lawson has as much Thursday Glen Helen experience as I do, because it's worse than that on that track with a bunch of guys that think they know how to drive. So just so you know, just be warned. I don't know if there's any other questions. So if you guys have any questions, or you have friends, if you have a friend, please help me here. If you have a friend that asked you a stupid motorcycle question this week, send them a link to what you're watching right now and tell them, hey, ask this guy. He might know the answer. So I'm going to get right into some of the questions here as we go. First one I'm going to take is off of the Facebooks. Oh boy, did it really reset itself? This is not helping me right now. I had it all queued up, and now I'm screwed. So I'll have to do that when I don't take a break. Actually, I'll try to do it right now because I think I know how to get back there. Oh yeah, I got back there. Good. There was a question on the KTM Gas Husqvarna groups. By the way, this show brought to you by Yamaha, which makes the Yamaha YZ line, clearly dominating every shootout known to man, from what I can tell. Even though I don't watch them, I just hear about this. You can go to your Yamaha deal and get one, but what you really want to do is, if you have a kid, they need a TTR 50 or a TTR 110 or a TTR 125 for Christmas. That's what you should get your kid. Trust me, it'll keep them from a life of crime and ever wanting to do drugs. There is, let's see, what else? Climb makes awesome gear. I enjoy my Climb gear. In fact, I just got myself a set of the Dakar over the boot pant, because I don't want the snow that's going to be lingering in the tree bushes to fall down and go down my pant leg. That's where the over the boot pants are amazing in wet conditions and stuff, so that water just kind of gets shedded off, or the dirt and stuff doesn't go in. Sometimes riding in sand dunes, it's kind of nice, although I don't mind a little bit of sand in my boots, if you know what I mean. Okay. Question number 1. It says, this is from a guy named Reese Christian. And Reese says, hey guys, I have a 17 250 EXCF with 160 hours on it. And he got it with 90 hours. And he haven't had any issues that far. He says, however, just recently noticed that the oil level is growing via the sight glass. Drained some out to inspect it. Doesn't appear to be milky or contaminated with water or coolant. It appears, it could have a gas smell to it. It's definitely thinner than new oil, and it has 8 hours since last oil change, and it's very dark. Any known or common issues to look for? Bad injectors, seals, PVC, breather, etc. Also seems to have an oil burning smell to it while running that I don't remember being there when I first got it. I'm going to go ride it. Oh, I'm not going to ride it anymore until I figure out what's going on. Any input is appreciated. Luckily, 46 people found it necessary to comment on this. And so I kind of scrolled through this. Somebody says water pump O-ring. Okay. That makes the oil milky, period. if you're getting any sort of moisture in there, it's going to turn it milky, typically not darker. And just I'm just going to kind of off the top of my head, if somebody asked me this, I would say, well, are you checking it through the exact same procedure? Because the sight glasses, whether the bike's been running, hot, cold, whether it's been sitting for a while, the sight glass is all over the place. So you have to check it in a very consistent way. Is it on the side stand? Is it level? Is the bike level uphill and downhill on the road? All these different things. Consistent checking, because a sight glass probably isn't the most accurate way to check it. It's a convenient way to check it. If you see it in the sight glass, oil, that is, you're generally good. If you don't see it, pay attention to how much you have to add, because that'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with your problem. And if all you see is oil in your sight glass, there's too much. And then either your engine will take care of itself, in other words, pump the extra oil out via the breather, or it'll blow out a seal and then you'll be in a world of hurt. But small changes in the level on the sight glass do not bother me at all, especially on a bike like this with this little hours on it. So another guy says, why not drain the oil and measure what comes out and verify the quantity? That's a really good idea too. And then you could put it in. But again, when you're draining these bikes, they don't drain all of it. And whether you do a oil filter, and whether you do the screen filters, and what angle the bike is leaning when you drain it, and all these different things have a big effect. Drain it hot or drain it cold. So it's kind of hard to get a real accurate thing unless you do it in a very consistent way. Don't use it. I don't use this method, but it would work. And then he asked, does your bike have the recluse clutch? I've seen those set up where they slip more than they should, or riding in too high of a gear, causing excess heat and blackened oil. Okay, that's true. That's just like slipping your clutch all the time. But in this instance, he's talking about his oil level going up. Most people are concerned when your oil level goes down. So this is kind of one of the things. Check the seal on the water pump. Come on, we got through this. I have the same bike. It's a gem. No problems. Let's see. Can't help with increasing oil levels, but lab tests probably do the most definitive thing you can do. Now, the best thing you can do is post something on the internet and just take every bit of advice that these ding-dongs give you, including mine. I haven't given you my advice yet. I've just told you some of the common things. Let's see. Injector possibly, or it just needs to be freshened up. A leaky valve ring seal. Test for blow-by. Okay. Typically, those things make oil go away. If you were leaking past the intake valves, it would burn it up. It's not. There's no way. You're going to increase oil level with leaky. I don't see it. Yeah, and then so they're saying send a sample to Blackstone, because then they will tell you whether there's gas in it. So I have seen on vehicles, never on a KTM motorcycle, by the way. I've seen on vehicles where you have a leaky injector, and it will drain in through the intake track and get into the crankcase, via just leak in there and go in through the pistons, seep down past the rings. But generally, when bikes or cars start like this, they are the smokiest, messiest. And on that KTM, because I have a 250XC, if that injector was leaking, it would probably leak back into the airbox as well. And you would notice it. It wouldn't start very well. It would be like a super loaded up 2-stroke. You need to change your oil more often on that little rever. No, you don't. He changes it every 7 hours, so he's doing a wonderful job for the oil companies. So now everybody's arguing with him, kind of like I just did. I don't think he's racing it. Let's see. Now we're arguing about oil. I can't believe that they didn't start arguing about what kind of oil to use. Because, come on, if you're going to throw a punch, do that. Are you putting a battery tender on it? They can make the fuel pump run on and off, so it depends on the type. Always remove the battery to charge it up. Don't put a tender on it while it is hooked up. Okay, I've never seen that problem before, but okay. And I'm trying to think. I've hooked battery tenders up to I have a 2019. I've never seen it turn the fuel pump on, and I don't know if the fuel pump was on, why it would get past the injector anyways, unless something was bad. Yeah, okay, Richard here says checking oil versus warm versus cold. Yep, that's good. He says it raises up, glass should be filled 25% on the eyeglass with the engine cold. That's relatively correct, yes. Yep, he's answered that question. What's the ethanol content in your gas? Okay, here we go. The ethanol content in your gas is going to cause your oil level to rise. I've never heard of that before. That sounds good, though. Check compression and valve clearance. Look into the upgraded oil pump gear. Stock one is plastic and break down and seize your engine. The amount of these bikes out there that are running around with the plastic gears in them and doing just fine would mean that you don't need those gears. But if you want to have really trick gears inside of your engine and possibly wear some other stuff out as opposed to the plastic gears, go for it. Pistons every 50 hours on a 250F, you're overdue. No, you're not. I have some 350. I have a 350 that's probably going on 6, 7. I don't know. It's got 1 million hours on it. I'm saying maybe 800 hours, a lot, and it gets ridden just as hard as a 250. I wouldn't worry about it. Let's see. They're saying what about metal? There's all kinds of stuff going on here. So here's what I would do. Reese, here's what I would do if it were up to me. So on those, if you haven't done like any kind of crazy evap emissions thing, there's a breather hose. And when the oil level is too high, those bikes tend to self-regulate themselves. In other words, if your oil level is too high, it likes to blow it into the air box. And then it will pool in the air box, which means it's getting rid of it. And I've never found a way to make the oil level, or I haven't really experienced oil level growing inside of one of those motors. So I would say it's something to do with how you're checking it. His bike in the picture looks super clean. He's got a nice clean garage. I think this is a smart guy putting stuff together. So I would just drain the oil, put new oil in it, and then, with it warm, get it warm. And even whether you ride it, like run it up and down, if those transmission gears are spinning, it can chuck oil into different places and kind of the level can sort of self-adjust. Ride it around, do a real consistent warm-up and ride, and then check the level and maybe make a mark on it. Maybe take a little highlighter, and make a line on the sight glass where it's at. And then check it the next day and see if something changes. Check it after your next ride. See how it goes. I don't think this is any. If you're getting extra oil in there, you don't have to rebuild because it's tight. I don't know where it could be making extra oil from or filling up the volume. Anyways, it was just a question that perked my interest. Thought I would answer that one. We're going to go over to some of our questions that were sent in. So you can send me. My name is Jimmy, and our site is Dirt Bike Test. That's www.dirtbiketest.com. So if you are halfway smart enough for me to answer your question, you can figure out how to put my name in front of my email or my website and get my email address, and then you send me a question, and then I answer it, just like this. This is from Dan. So Dan has a question for discussion on your upcoming Taco Tech Talk. He says he needs to buy a new bike, and he's stuck between a Beta 390 and a newer Yamaha WR450F. I may have answered this before, but I'll do it anyways. I don't even have to read anything else because Yamaha is a wonderful sponsor of this show, and you should just buy the WR450F. That's the answer. So, no, I will answer it honestly. Why do I even have to say that? I answer everything honestly. I'm 62 years old, been riding dirt bikes in Boise for 4 years, 6'4" tall, 37-inch inseam, and long arms also. I've been riding a 2004 WR250F with stock sprockets and a great big desert tank, and I love the bike. I got the WR for $1,800 at the time, and it has been rock solid. I'm looking for a new bike, mostly because the 2004 is so heavy to pick up on the side of a mountain, very top heavy. Okay, so we're going to stop there, and you will not notice a difference in any of the bikes from my experience in picking it up. In fact, the WR250F, depends how big that desert tank is, but they can add a little bit of weight when they're full, but they're going to be kind of picking it up on the side of the mountain. But I'm kind of curious about which side of the mountain you're falling off of, because usually I like to fall into the side of the mountain and the bike doesn't have to get picked up that far. But if you fall off the side of the mountain, then it's a lot more degrees of rotating up a bike. So we might want to look into some training. So he says, also, I want to go to Colorado on the BDR routes at 12,000 feet and need fuel injection. That is a great reason to upgrade. That's the number one reason to upgrade so far. He says, I consider myself an advanced beginner. I thought he was going to say advanced rider. Advanced beginner. 4 years, I'm going to give you a novice. When I look for trails on my GPS, they are rated green, blue, and black. Based on my experience with the app, I rate myself a 4 out of 9. I'm definitely striving to get better. I have no reason to be partial to Yamaha. Yes, you do, because you want to support this podcast. But once I got the WR, I announced to my son that we are a Yamaha family. That's right. And then you got a 2018 KTM 250 XCF. Well, what do you expect your kid to do? Anything that you do? No way. I really want a Yamaha, but okay. I get the impression the Beta 390 is all trail bike, very linear, loves to lug, can use lift the front, is lightweight, not great at 65, and very expensive. Okay, I'm going to go through that list again. The Beta 390 is all trail bike. It's trail, but it can race. I think it's a little more trail, very linear. Yes, correct. Loves to lug. For a 390, it's a 400. It's just like, and those bikes can lug and they can rev. They can do both. That's what's nice about that 390. Can easily lift the front. Agreed. Is lightweight. In comparison, yes, it feels lighter than the scale will tell you it is. But not that great at 65 miles per hour. Probably as good as any 400 at that speed or higher speeds, and very expensive. I don't think they're very expensive. It would be less capable of being used as a dual sport, but maybe the 480. Don't get ahead of yourself. But if you're doing BDR stuff, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to be on a bigger bike. The BDR stuff is really not that technical. Once you start going to single track, then the 390 becomes much more attractive than the smaller bikes. I know much less about the recent WR450F from 2024 and newer. You have not reviewed these models. I think I did. I know it has a longer stroke relative to most bikes, but it'll lug up steep and technical. It'll probably be better on the BDR carrying some luggage, but 90% of what I do is double and single track. I want a jack of all trades, but it needs to be capable of doing single track. I ride in the desert and the mountains and sand washes and gullies, and you keep on reinforcing that 390. You're concerned that the WR would have too much power and would be too much for single track. Of course, it has too much power. It's a Yamaha. You should just get used to that. I would probably leave a WR corked up until be confident having all of that power. That's not a bad idea. In fact, competition ECU with the stock muffler is a really good, smooth. It's still powerful because when you hold it wide open, it goes, even with that thing in there, with that stock muffler. But it's a little bit aggressive. It tends to stall a little bit more than the type of power that the Beta has. I've been pondering this over the year, cannot make a decision. Plus, it's very hard to get a test ride on a Yamaha. Well, now it's 2026, so you can get an even newer one. Go down to your local Yamaha dealer, tell them Dirt Bike Test sent you, even if you end up buying a Beta. I love your bike reviews. I've read many, and you always seem to cover the subjects that are important to me. You have just been silent on these two bikes. Well, I can't ride everything, Dan. I'd love to, but every time I ride a motorcycle, it could turn into work. Let's see. I don't know how to text into your show on a Tuesday because you can't text into my show, but you have to listen to the future episodes and you will hear this discussion. Thank you, Dan. So, Dan, yeah, hopefully I answered that question. I think you're heading down Beta Avenue. You should probably go see Sportsman Cycle in Las Vegas. They're a really good dealer. Actually, if you called them up and asked him about the bikes, ask Gary about the bikes. Tell him Jimmy at Dirt Bike Test sent you, and he'll probably make that Beta real expensive for you. Now, he might cut you a deal. You never know. Thank you. Got another question here. We're going to check the chat, see what we got going on here. Absolutely nothing. I think everybody hung up the phone because they were texting me, and then they didn't ask questions. So if you ask a question in the chat, I will get right to it. Any questions, all questions, actually your friends that have the dumb questions, send them to me, and I can try to take care of it the best that I can. So just wanted to put up a picture of what Jerry Bernardo thinks I look like when I was 8 years old. That is not me holding a can of PBR with my main bro. God, who would that have been when I was that age? Who would have been standing behind me drinking a PBR? Let's see. Who did I used to ride with up in the hills? I had a buddy named Craig. He had an RM125. He really wasn't into riding, but him and his brother had a RM125. He would be standing there. Who else? There was some kind of bad kids that I ran around with, but they didn't really have dirt bikes. Yeah, maybe it was Doug, a kid named Doug I used to ride with, but he didn't seem like a beer drinker at the time. But yeah, not me, but it could have been. Yeah, he's on an Indian, by the way. That kid. That's how old that photo is. That Jerry said looked a lot like me. Okay, moving on to question number 2. Let's see. It's here. It comes from Hi. As a loyal reader of dirtbiketest.com, I am constantly impressed by the high-quality content on your platform. Well, that means you don't pay attention to our platform. I'm willing to propose a guest post that I believe would be a valuable addition to your already outstanding content. I specifically tailored the content to resonate with your readership so they can benefit from the insights shared in the post. Let's see. Is it porn or is it gambling? Because he says, I'm certain. Oh, it's Aurora. She's certain that this piece would align seamlessly with the interests of your audience. And she's thanking me for considering your proposal. Let's see. If I had my computer here, I'd type her a response. Dirt Bike Test. We are unable to process your payment. Please reach out to our billing department so they can help with the resolution. Uh-oh. On that note, I'm going to have a little agua miel, blanca nora. This is mezcal, my friends. On Tech Talk Taco Tuesday and Tequila, we're going to have a little mezcal tonight because it's the holiday season. And as you know, I'm going to be starting a tequila podcast. I don't know where we're going to host it, but I will definitely reach out and let you all know. It's going to be, I think we're going to do a live show for the very first episode at Ramiro's Mexican Restaurant in Pahrump, Nevada, sometime in January. So mark your calendars, get in your lowrider, and cruise down to Pahrump, Nevada for my Jimmy's Tequila podcast. Prairie Dog 879 says, Jimmy, can you tell Yamaha to make a big bore dual sport, 450 to 500? Yeah, for you, anything. Attention, Yamaha. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this right. Let me see here. 1 second. Please hold. I think I got it right here. Check. It's this one here. Is it this one? Check.
Oh, there we go. Yamaha, please make a big bore dual sport 450 or 500. Thank you. Prairie Dog 879.
Yeah, we do what we're asked around here. So you can also tip us somehow on the YouTubes. You can push a button and then money comes out of the computer towards me. By the way, I'm busy on this thing here. Street Sweeper has a question. Okay. 2025 KTM 500 EXC versus the 2025 YZ450 FX. You guys are crazy. You know this show is sponsored by Yamaha, and the winner is just clear. It's got to be the 25 YZ450 FX. But anyways, there's more. Bone stock, which bike would you prefer? And would it be worth setting up the 450 FX with a dual sport light kit? Well, here's if you're going to put the dual sport kit on the Yamaha, you should have bought the KTM. I don't know. This is interesting because so the Yamaha is not dual sport, and it depends on where you're at, like what your regulations are, how you can get it through. KTM basically comes, we'll call it, compared to the YZ, it's corked up. But the YZ does not have all of the dual sport stuff, which requires it to be corked up. Competition bike versus street legal bike. So it really depends on what what you're really trying to, what's more important to you at that point. And it's funny because I don't own those current. What's my 450? Mine's a WR. I have a WR 450, and I believe it's a 2024. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember the years anymore. I do not have a 2025 KTM 500. I've ridden one, but the bikes are very different in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you right now that the YZ is more the Yamaha is more peppy, more just more aggressive, sharper, requires a little bit more attention, where the KTM is a little, I don't want to call it lackadaisical. It's a little just the characters of the bike. Even when you modify them, even if you put the light kit on the Yamaha and did the engine mods to the KTM, those characteristics that I'm talking about still sort of shine through. But bone stock, I would take the KTM because it has a license plate, and I can do way more stuff with it. The Yamaha, for me, the biggest problem with the Yamaha is I cannot get huge gas tanks, and we're talking like 4-gallon gas tanks. So I tend to ride my Yamaha basically when the conditions are good and I'm sticking closer to the truck, or riding in an area where I'm not going to be doing these 100-mile loops that we do quite often. Actually, I think the last time we rode, we did 78 miles, which would be probably right on the edge of what I could eke out with my Yamaha, which has a slightly bigger tank on it. And I don't want to be under that stress, because had we not had a small problem, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment, I had a problem with my KTM. I I probably wouldn't have made it back. We would have rode farther. We would have done more riding. And Prairie Dog says he's going to be on his XR 400 until Yamaha comes out with that dual sport. And he says, while you're talking to Yamaha about dual sport, make sure you tell them it needs to hold 2 quarts of oil. Hold on 1 second.
Yamaha. Attention Yamaha. Prairie Dog 879 says the upcoming dual sport bike needs to hold 2 quarts of oil. Just so you know.
I'm not really sure why, because even that's a lot of oil. I mean, you take your XR 400. You see, your XR 400 is air cooled, and it just can't dissipate heat like modern bikes can. So, not a concern anymore. You can get away with maybe 1.5. I'll give you 1,500 cc's would be, but that's weight. And then people really, they look at the scale of these things and they judge things, and that little extra pound of oil that you got there, that extra 500 cc's of oil, which might actually be a little bit more, but I don't know. That could be a problem. So, on the scale, not in longevity. So, on the old KTMs that used to run hot, they used to have these big side covers that they put on them that would actually store a little bit of extra oil, and they had some fins on the old RFSs, and they pumped them up to like the 570s and stuff. You needed to do that if you were going to run it really hard. Okay, back to my story. I was going to tell you about I hopped on one of my KTM 500s the other day to go for a little ride. Went riding with this clown, Kendall. This guy Kendall. I met him someplace before. I think I ran into him in Baja. And he decided he was going to take his Honda 450X, and he had a big-ass tank on it and a sweet dent in his muffler. And so I went and saw that one of my KTM 500s had a big-ass tank on it and a sweet dent in the muffler, and I wanted to be on the same kind of bike as Kendall and same style. Mine was orange, his was red. And so I took that bike, and it just needed to be run, have some gas run through it. By the way, I got a lot of bikes for sale, a lot of KTM 500s for sale. Some of them are rally setup with all the equipment, paper road books and everything. If you're interested, if you want, I have trail bikes too. I have some CRF 250s, CRF 230s, TTR 250s. My rental fleet is going away. Those training bikes, if you want to start a school, well, hopefully you took my school and you could just copy everything I used to do in my school like the other guys do. You can buy my rental bikes now at substantial discounts, so I can go buy a new mountain bike. Just so you know. So anyways, I was going riding with Kendall, putting some fuel through this bike, and the first thing I did is when I hopped out in the street, it started up fine, but it kind of had a little pop, like Excel decel pop, like plug pilot jet pop, which is kind of strange. Didn't think much of it. But I got on the road and I rolled it on, and it has a Kropovic muffler on it. Kropovic. I can't say it right. I probably lost the ad contract for Dirt Rider because I couldn't say the name right when I met the guys. But it has that muffler on it, and it should lift the front wheel up when you roll it on. And I rolled it on because I just got done riding my other 500 that has a completely stock muffler on it, and it lifts the front wheel. And this one didn't lift the front wheel when I was going down the street, but it ran fine. And as the day went on, it progressively kind of had less and less power. And then when we were finally coming back in, I thought I've plugged because I can squeeze the fuel line and feel whether it has pressure. And when it was running, it seemed like it had pretty good pressure, but the pressure would go away real quick. You could squeeze the fuel line, and if it stopped running, it would go down. But it still had half a tank because it's a 5-gallon tank, so the fuel filter wasn't exposed. Fuel filter was cracked, is what it was. But I actually, the little fuel filter, I went to pull it out. I had unconnected the 2-part connector where the little fuel filter is. I thought maybe that might be plugged. Excuse me. And when I popped it out, it broke in half. So it was like, good times. But anyways, nursed that sucker home, put the fuel pressure checker on it, watched it pump up and bleed out and pump up and bleed out, drained a fair amount of the gas out of it, leaned it over, pressurized it, and you just saw it squirting out the side of the fuel pump. I have a little video. I should probably post it on the Instagrammers or something like that and tell you how that but anyways, so it was kind of diagnosing some things. I while I had it out, I figured, especially since that little fuel filter broke off and there was pieces around, I cleaned the fuel injector. I popped it out. It's pretty easy on that bike. It's a 2017, so it comes out the bottom of the throttle body, and used actually I did another video on how to back clean a fuel injector. Whether you're out in the trail, there's a way to do it, or whether you're in the shop and you have the access to some contact cleaner or carb cleaner, and use the bike's ignition to pulse it. Even though I have the proper Motion Pro tool, I kind of did it trail side. So, yeah. Yabba Dabba Do 72 says 2 quarts it shall be. Maybe Yabba Dabba Do is a Yamaha engineer. Never know. Never know who's listening to this show. All 24 million people. Got another cool thing. Oh, can I reach this thing over here? 1 second, please hold. Product spotlight. Hold on.
Product spotlight.
Okay, so you can't see this if you're listening to this podcast, but right now I'm holding up. My buddy Bryant sent this to me. This is Print Forge Labs makes this little box that I'm holding up. You can hear it, and it's a 3D printed. It's very complex, and what it does is it fits under your seat on your Yamaha Tenere. It just literally pops in and slides in, and it becomes a little compartment. And it's not waterproof or anything like that, but it's very form-fitted. Has a little cubby. It's called a Moto Cubby. And so the Moto Cubby just takes this space, and it's kind of on top of the battery and on top of some of your battery, relays and fuses. It just pops right in. And you can store maybe your documents in here, or some tools, or some things. Maybe in the little Moto Cubby, you can put some little nuts or bolts, or I know some people who put some other stuff in there. But yeah, put your things in this thing. It's a nice little design. It was funny because I know him from the four-wheeling world. And he has some pretty cool products there, like the Dead Man recovery. It's basically a recovery straps, but you fill it up with dirt and sand, and you can pull yourself out if there's nothing to winch off of. And but anyways, he sent me this and a smaller one, which is actually in my Tenere, because if you have the rally seat, the stock Yamaha rally seat, you can put this box in. But I have a Seat Concepts seat. By the way, Seat Concepts sponsors Dirt Bike Test, helps us out with projects and stuff. So I have a really nice Seat Concepts comfort seat on my Tenere, and it doesn't fit with that. So I'm helping him, with his design to make this a little bit better. But really, kind of a neat, interesting. Kind of a neat design. It's kind of something cool. I'm going to put it on the emergency camera here so you can kind of see how trick this sucker is. There's that little extra little cubby down inside of there, and it's not even bolt on. It's beyond bolt on. It pops in. So check out Print Forge Labs if you're looking for something on this week's
Dirt Bike Test Product Spotlight.
I'm so glad I got that working again. Can't be a show if you don't have a voice metron, is what I always say. Okay. Working down our questions. What else I got going? Had a really interesting discussion with Mr. Looney about inertial dampers. That's really his name, which was kind of cool. And that was good. If you were bad listeners tonight or viewers of the show, I'm going to read a poem from Jerry's book later on, just so you know. let's see. I have oh, wow. Ray Wynn. He sent these from his iPhone, and here's what he says. Jimmy, I've listened to every T4 episode, not live but reruns, and I love your tits. If you want to show me more, the shop episodes, not your man boobs. Ha ha. Uh-oh. Okay. Got it. Got that joke. Yeah, today in the shop. It's coming to a internet forum. Well, I don't know. We'll see. If YouTube can summarize anything, I think I'm going to challenge AI. Somebody else will rip me off and get it done before me anyways. But I'm going to challenge AI to answer your motorcycle and motorcycle product related questions. Hey, did anybody do that homework? Did anybody ask AI what this show is all about? They'll say it's some washed up motorcycle racer ranting on about how he knows everything about motorcycles, which I actually do, but that's why AI is going to come and kill me. I'm going to be one of the first that they come after when it gets becomes self-aware. I'm blessed that I am able to afford 2 bikes, and that pales in comparison to my 300 bikes, but I don't have 300. I only have like 68 at the moment. He has a 21 KTM XCW300, which I bought strictly because of your review. Hello, KTM sponsorship. Oh, I forgot they are broke. I love my KTM, but I also love trials riding. I know, super dork. I really dig the slower tech riding on the very small trials bike and building skills. Now, after riding so much trials, when I ride my KTM and slow gnarly stuff, I kind of wish I had the trials bike with beefed up suspension, bigger tank, 2 radiators, etc. So I'm thinking about getting a Beta X trainer. You know, Beta should be sponsoring this show. And keeping the KTM. I have incredible access to second, third gear single track and gnarly medium enduro stuff. You have an initial impression video, but I can't find anything else about the long-term tests on the X Trainer. I'll tell you why. Because every time I had an X Trainer here, somebody that tested it bought it. Okay? Yes, I've had 2 of them, and they were both gobbled up by test riders. I'm a hardcore mountain biker, and I've built over $260 million in bike trails and commuter greenways in Colorado. I'm in my late 40s and often go riding alone. I feel like the X-Trainer would be more of a weapon in the slower speed single track, and medium enduro won't tire me out as fast and be a little safer for riding alone. Hopefully it feels more like a mountain bike than a Goldwing. You have some questions. So you're on the right path. Ray, you're fully on the right path. So questions. Number 1, should I delete the oil injection? If you've listened to every Tech Talk Taco Tuesday episode ever, you will notice that about 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 10 out of 10, I say, I love oil injection. So I would say no, leave the oil injection on. The Beta oil injection was actually around before the KTM oil injection, is really good. I think they have it tuned really, like it knows when you're low speed, it knows when you're high speed. And when we very first got the Beta, Tim from Beta said, go and try to blow it up. He literally said with the oil injected, the 300, it was a 300, it wasn't even an R, it was just a 300 RR, but not even it wasn't the race one because it was the standard one. And we went and like sent it like on desert racing, and we went idling around in first gear forever and overheated it and did all the stuff, and it was fine. So don't delete the oil injection. It's just so much easier to just pour gas in and check the oil tank every once in a while. Question number 2, are the electronic connections really as bad as the dumb web says? They're not as bad as KTM electrics. Okay. There is some, it's funny because the last time we had a Beta, I was riding with a Beta, it had an issue because the steering stem turned and hit I don't know if it was the ECU or the regulator rectifier and caused it to pull the wires out or something like that. So I don't think they're that bad. I think the like I said, one of the biggest complaints I have with KTMs is the small wires, but they're really not that bad either in grand scheme of things. It's just You seem to develop a phobia after you chase a wire in a KTM wiring harness. Actually, I think you would develop a phobia on any bike if you had to chase a wire in a wiring harness these days. So no, the electric connections are not that bad. Do the plastics break if you look at them wrong? No, but I have in my world, I want to say I've broke more beta plastic per capita than other bikes. Don't know why. And in all honesty, a lot of it was on the X trainers, strangely enough. But those were also being ridden by beginner riders, and they might have been tipping over a little bit more. And I kind of remember some of it was cold related. Like it was really cold out, and it was kind of brittle cold, but nothing out of the ordinary. Pros and cons of getting used over new. Well, I like anything when you're talking motorcycles. Like where did the bike come from, and who are you getting it from? And that goes whether it's a dealer and or a used thing. I don't know if there's a whole market for those things used. I think they would get gobbled up pretty quick because a lot of them, the reason they would be sold is because they weren't getting used, and therefore they might be in pretty good condition. Yeah, I mean, if it's new, then you know where it's been. If it's used, hopefully you have a pretty good sense about being able to look closely at something and see how it was used, and if somebody's trying to sell you, a bike like I would sell somebody. No, just kidding. I mean, I'm selling lots of bikes right now, and they're all premium. They look like crap. In fact, I hardly even clean them up. I know they're mechanically solid. If you want to buy a bike from me right now, and we'll get to roost and or for sale later. I need to get more of my bikes in that segment. And number 5, excuse me. Is the X-Trainer a better choice than the Beta 200 if I'm keeping the KTM? Yes. Yeah, the X-Trainer is a different kind of motorcycle. It's that smaller chassis that really makes it pretty awesome. So, the Beta 200 is way too much like a regular bike. But the Beta 200 is a great bike too. Like they nailed the 200 motor. And he says, and I'll just pat myself on the back as I'm reading this. I usually like to have somebody else read this, but nobody will come in and co-host with me. It's like they're scared. They're chicken. Like they're afraid they're going to run into this dude right here. Thanks, Jimmy. Your shows and knowledge are amazing and bring incredible joy to so many people. This guy's just blowing me, so I would answer his question. Please keep it going. I would support monetarily if you set up a Patreon or something. Whoa. Hold on. I know making these shows is an incredible PIA, but it also does make the world better. Well, Ray, you understand my pain. Yep. Moving right along. Well, we got something in the chat. Street Seeper says, Jimmy, what brand of handlebars do you recommend along with your grips? No flex bars, though. Well, buddy, can't help you. Because I'm flex bars all the way. Fast company. I'm fast family. I'm fast company. I run them on my motorcycles. I run them on my mountain bikes. In fact, I'm kind of looking. I got my eyes on a new mountain bike, and I'm just. It actually, the mountain bike comes with a handlebar and a stem all built into one. I'm like, going, shoot, I have to get a stem to put my flex bars on. So, like, what do you have against flex bars? Like, bro, I'm curious. Along with grips. So grips, I'm really picky about grips. I have little teeny tiny small hands. And you know what they say about guys with small hands, right? We like small grips. So I run like smaller diameter grips. I don't like the thick spongy grips. But I do run the Pro Grip foam grips on my rally and adventure bikes that don't have heated grips on them. So you let me know a little bit more about what you're seeking in handlebars, and I can point you along the right direction. Did you know that I'm a flex bar guy? I mean, like 100% flex bar guy. It's the difference between me getting to go ride 2 days in a row. Like if I go ride a bike without flex bars, I probably can't ride the next day because my wrists hurt. They don't really, they hurt. They're injured enough to where they don't work properly the next day, or it's painful enough where I'm not having fun. So, and I don't want to not have fun on my motorcycles. Got another question here or comment. Or Elena says, "Hi, I've been following your site and admire how you sustain your clear editorial style." Right. I'd love to contribute a sponsored article or paid content piece that fits your niche and audience. Sure you do. Are you open to this kind of sponsorship? Let's see. I wonder if I can ask my phone to send an email for me. I could. Phone. Send an email to Elena. Elena, thank you for your warm regards. Can you send nudes? Thank you. Okay. We answer all of our questions that come through on YouTube, by the way. Even Street Sweeper says, even with plush suspensions, your wrists still hurt. Yeah, because I can have really good suspension setup and I'll still jar into something or bottom out or whatever. But what I typically do on my bikes with my is because I like a pretty precise front end, and so having a mushy front end that would kind of lend to more comfort makes the bike handle not so well. Lazy, actually. It isn't as precise. I can't get so much feel through it. So I can actually run my front end a little bit stiffer and let the suspension and the flex bars do the work that I would have to compromise with either my tire pressure or my fork setting, which both of those things could affect the way that I like the bike to handle. So yes, my wrists still hurt, even with really awesome suspension. On to YouTube comments. So if you're watching this show now and it's like a week ago or it's 3 years in the future, and when I'm going to be so busy that I won't be answering questions, you can honestly look back and see that I did answer all the questions because somebody left a comment in YouTube's on the comments and I answered them. And Martin Riggs is talking about our KTM 300 XCW review, and he says, honestly, this bike is a slug. I'm switching to a 4-stroke. Well, Martin, you do that. You switch to a 4-stroke. And you're right. 4-strokes kind of feel a little bit more peppy and lively. It's strange that 2-strokes used to be like that, and now 4-strokes have gotten that in comparison to 2-strokes. We have raised the bar on the 4-stroke world, and it's really noticeable that you can get 4-strokes that are way more aggressive than 2-strokes, in stock form these days. Mountain Bike Rider on our 25 Gas 300EX review, where Trevor had the smashing clickbait headline, "Is this the best motorcycle ever made?" Mountain Biker says, "Oh man, come on. I'm trying to get one of these as a leftover. Keep it on the down low." Well, Panic Rev jumped in and says, if you're a desert guy, the suspension needs a lot of work. Good for low-speed stuff and some light moto. Wrong. Hare and Hound racing is and fast. It takes some work. My 23 300XC has a little stiffer chassis, so maybe that's the issue. Yeah, light moto is probably more demanding than desert for most people. I don't know. It kind of depends, because like when those like the 300EX, when that thing goes off of a jump with a pretty good transition, it blows right through the stroke and then doesn't jump very well. Where Hare and Hound, yeah, you're just going to be bottoming out, but most of the time the chassis goes straight. So, but Trevor says, and let Trevor tell you. He says, this bike ran in the top 5 overall for 90 miles of a Hare and Hound with just clickers and sag using the stock suspension. It's really not that bad. The older chassis on the 23-24 bikes isn't as quite as comforting as the new chassis. So there you go. We didn't just say that. We actually went out and did it. And I just really said it because I didn't do it. But I did take my Yamaha WR450 to a pro class podium at a National Hare and Hound this way race. So you are speaking to a professional motorcycle rider, even if it is virtually through the the interwebs or whatever we're doing. So Street Sweeper comes back. He says, I'm really digging the 2026 Honda CRF 300F for trail riding single track. What's your take on the new 300? Don't have a take on it. I don't even know if we went to the intro. I don't even know if we got invited to the intro. Probably because they don't think we're 300 riders, even though Trevor rides anything. He's almost like Carson Brown, except he's Asian and not that fast and doesn't have a Red Bull deal like I do. So, yeah. MD72501 says on the Gas video, any suspension mods? And Trevor replies back and telling him that, yeah, after riding it stock, racing it for a while, we valved and resprung the stock components for faster and heavier riders. That means that he wanted me to ride it. So I rode the bike. It wasn't bad. The brakes were, but it wasn't bad. Chad Chattelmans wants 6 speeds on the Honda RXs. He says the sales will double. I wonder if I should contact Honda real quick. Let him. I probably should. It's my duty.
Attention, Honda. Honda Chattelmans says you need the 6-speed in the RX models. Over and out.
Okay, I think Honda tried to fix that by making an X model. So, just so you know. Luke Fish says the gas is not the best motorcycle ever made. So he clicked on your bait, Trevor, and you win, Trevor. Chase Gina Alone 8763 clicked on our podcast number 264 with Preston Campbell and Ricky Brayback. And he says, where's the video? You're killing me. Well, interestingly enough, I need some more of this. That is, for a mezcal, that is really good. Some mezcals are like harsh, but that's got a smooth. It's smooth, but it burns. I don't know how to explain that. Like mezcal, sometimes they just burn and they're harsh. This one's like, hopefully I don't cough anymore because it just went down and just did a nice number on the back of the throat. That nice smooth. And I give it a little swish around the cheek and gums, just to really savor the flavor. So, where's the video? You're killing me. So, interestingly enough, I managed to push some buttons and hook up our podcast RSS feed to our YouTube channel. So now it ingests both the audio only format, which you will see in its own kind of a title screen, as well as the normal one, like this show. When I kind of edit it back and forth, I edit it. This will have a title card kind of like the other ones. It looks a little bit different. So if it's a black screen with a round DBT logo and the number on it, that's the audio only podcast, which you can get on SoundCloud and Apple Pod, all the poddy places you can get those, or you can get the video on YouTube, and sometimes it ends up on Facebook and stuff too. So, yeah, now you know. Hold on, now you know. Yeah, the more you know. Let's see, Paulo Yuzuki Waki, whatever, 2103. on our CR450 RX versus YZ450 FX. What's the best bike for you? He says for motocross, it's Yamaha and top Categoria, Yamaha. Oh, he's a Yamaha lover. Well, so are we. Yeah, right on. Good, Paulo Azuki, whatever. And then Nathan Hamilton on the KTM electric starter Sprag gear clutch repair comments, KX450. So just want you to know, this is something else you should know. What you really need to know is that when the AIs start summarizing all the videos and they see comments like this, they take it serious. And they're going to use that to influence you. So, anyhow, let's see. Scotty D 2262 a day ago asks, I bought a 22 Husqvarna FE 501 and I love it, but there's no way that it would be as reliable as an XR 650 over as many years. And he says, I guess time will tell. So, Scotty, you take your time determining what I've already told you. I have both those bikes. I've put a lot of time on them. I've been riding those KTM 500s, which is the same kind of engine over different things. And the older ones are actually better than the newer ones. There's more motorcycle there. Like in 2016, they took away a lot of motorcycle to get that weight down. So your XR 650 is damn stone reliable, but I don't think in any way, shape, or form it's that much more reliable than any of the 500 platform things, as long as you don't jack with them too much. You know, if you start modifying these things in the ways that I see some people doing, you can make them as unreliable as a modified XR 650, which is, I don't know why you would do that either. You're just polishing a pig. Mm-hmm. Beta 300RR versus Beta 300 Race Edition, which is better? And 2 Ooze Effect 43X, the auto-generated name says, so the Race Edition with the oil injection add-on sounds like to replace the YZ250X for me. So first of all, as a proud member of the Blue Crew here on Dirt Bike Test Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, brought to you by Yamaha, why would you even think of replacing the YZ250X? Because Beta is not sponsoring this show. But that's actually interesting because you're barking up my tree. You're gonna put the oil injection on the Race Edition, and then you'd have 50 more cc's, an electric starter, and Kayaba suspension. That's good. What does AI want to say? The Race Edition with oil injection is a very capable bike and could definitely be a good, and then it stops. Race sounds like a solid plan. I should reply to these people, but I could say, hey, go into Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, and at 1 hour and 16 minutes, I answered your question, bro. That doesn't have a name. Are trail bikes the new race bikes? Race testing a gas EC 450F. Grilled U80 says, any opinions on how this bike could work in Baja? Traveling light with Mojave bags and a backpack, optimizing towards double and single track, and enduring the inevitable pavement sections. Back at home, this dual sport bike would be the typical high mountain passes and single track as well. My 300 covers the gnarly single track rides. So, grilled, that thing would be a fine taco getter in Baja. So it's really simple. You get a big tank, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure that there's options for the gases. I know because that's what I ride down there. I ride my KTM 500 with the big, either a Chirby's or IMS tank, depending on the year. I like the ones that actually cover over the radiator shrouds, which they don't seem to be making anymore. Or I know IMS still does, but Chirby seems to be going away from that for some reason, which is really a shame because I liked theirs. I preferred theirs a little bit more. Actually, it was model specific. Some tanks, some just fit better and were more secure, carried the weight better. But yeah, you put the big tank on it, you get those saddlebags on there, and you're going to be in good shape. I'll tell you the trick. Here's two tricks that I do. In Baja, I go up one on the countershaft sprocket, and you would be blown away by how that completely changes the character of the bike. It literally just allows it to rev a little bit less, spaces out your gears a little bit more, and it turns it into an XR650-ish, by the way. So yeah, it will work. It'll work fine in Baja. If you stay off the horrible roads that Score destroys down there, the suspension is going to be just fine. And that's it. So our last question from Too Fast J2J says on our Gas 300EX review, so what's with all the issues going on with these pistons hitting the crank? I don't know about all these issues with the pistons hitting the crank. I've seen a couple really good videos where guys are pulling apart engines that are completely grenaded. And in fact, I saw a video today of some ding dong that I couldn't tell because he didn't show him warming up the bike, but he just gets on the bike and just starts going wide open across the desert, and it seizes. And then he's blaming the type of piston that's in it. And he was doing not unlike what I did with the oil-injected Beta 300 that I talked about earlier, but my bike was completely warmed up and it was stock. So I don't know what this guy did switching pistons that made it come apart, but it didn't sound very good. And then, of course, this is the kind of guy that like tags KTM. Like they're going to go, oh, shoot, we better help this guy out because he's an idiot and he knows how to post and tag us on the grams or whatever. They should help me out because I have a podcast or something. Send money. Okay. On to the amazing segment called Roost or Endo, brought to you by Takamoto. Now I'm going to hold off. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Roost or Endo. Hold on a second. I got a guy that will introduce it.
Roost or Endo, brought to you by Takamoto. That's tacomoto.co on the webs.
Okay, the way that this works is that it's a weekly segment if we do the show every week, and you send us a picture of your bike and you tell us a little bit about your bike. And the bike that gives us, and when I say us, I'm talking about me and this dinosaur right here, this guy right here. Me and this guy are going to look at the photos, and we're going to tell you about your bike. We're going to tell you whether your bike roost or endos, and then you get to enjoy the critiques, criticisms, compliments, and learn a little bit about us. And then the one that gives us the most enjoyment, we will send you $100 gift certificate from Takamoto. So enjoy. Jake Christie has a 2024, and I'm going to get the screen going here. Jake, where's Jake? There's Jake. Is that Jake? That's Jake. That's Jake, and behind him is Dan's group of guys that are going to thump me if his bike didn't win. I think he might have won. I don't know why. So Jake Christie has a Guts with 2 T's seat cover. I don't know if Jake was the guy. No, the other guy was the other guy. Bulletproof rear disc guard. Bulletproof, a big supporter of Dirt Bike Test. Bulletproof, maker of fine things. They even send us works components like this here wooden front disc protector that also can be used as firewood, which is what you should probably do if you have a wooden disc protector. So just again, The more you know. We'll go back to Roosterendo. Jake's bike has a Recluse manual clutch, Moose inserts front and back, Enduro Engineering chainsaw mount. Good. That's good. Milwaukee 18-volt electric chainsaw. That's the same one that I run, by the way. I actually use I'm going to forget his name, up in Idaho that makes the chainsaw racks. If I remember it, I'll remember. TBT suspension, Takomoto start-stop switch, GPR damper, a Chirby's large fuel tank not installed right now, or at least in the photo. And he's cleaning up some trails someplace. It's funny because I know exactly where this trail is. I know exactly where it's at, and I love that he dropped his Climb backpack as a sponsor plug. He has his Climb knack pack right there in the photo to grace this photo and make me be more biased to pick this as the winner. He says, this is not the best trail maintenance bike for the single track, but it gets the job done. He's mainly used it as a District 37 Hare and Hound and NGPC bike, as he doesn't have as many bikes as Jimmy does to pick from. I know. If he did, he'd be riding a Yamaha all the time. Yes, I did send in a KTM 300 for Roosterender a while back. Hopefully he didn't win, because you can't win twice. And he says, keep roosting. So, Jake, I'm going to go after your bike here. The Guts has 1T in it, by the way. I like the trail maintenance. I think that's good. The 2-stroke will do trail maintenance just as good as your 4-stroke, by the way. I think I like the all blacked out color scheme. It's really nice. But I'm going to zone in on this. You have the bulletproof design rear disc guard. I think that behind this Climb knack pack, there is a bulletproof design front disc guard that you're hiding. And if anybody is a follower of this show, you know why I just held up a front disc guard made of wood. I've seen some trails where you can bend your front disc, but, bro, you got to be wheeling over those things. This XCF 450 has plenty of power to wheelie right over that stuff. I think good execution. Bike looks well used. I'm sorry you don't have 70 motorcycles, but I don't either. My wife does. Just so you know. 68 at the moment. But I'm because it has a chainsaw and because you threw gratuitous sponsor plugs in there for me, you should have just put a Yamaha sticker on it, and then it would have really shown through. This bike roosts, Jake. So congratulations. Hey, if you're in the chat, by the way, if you made the show and you made the chat, I probably should have told these guys I was going to pick their bikes, but if you're in the chat, it really weighs on my decision when I start deciding which bike we award the things to. I'm going to ask the dinosaur real quick what he thought. It takes a little while for him to talk, though. Dinosaur's kind of busy. Dinosaur here. Maybe the dinosaur's better on. There he goes. Dinosaur is talking to the thing. Yeah, don't look at me. Okay, goes.
I don't ride motorcycles.
Okay, that's all you need to know. This show is horrible, but I make it myself. Let's see. Oh, and Decal Works says it's a solid setup. I'm checking to see if it had Decal Works graphics on it, but they're still giving it a shout out. So awesome. It doesn't really have a graphics package. Maybe those small numbers in the back are those Decal Works like kind of cut out numbers. And is Jake? Yeah, Christie 188 F7H. Yeah, he's here. It's good. You better start, riling up a lot of support in the chat room here to get that going. Because we're moving on to bike number 2 in tonight's Roosterendo. And, sometimes you can be lucky and you can be the only bike in the Roosterendo. And then somehow you just win because you're the only one. But that's not what happened this time. We have more. We have our next amazing bike. I'm digging it up. There's a lot of stuff to do here. It's not just, it's Steven Schiff has a bike for us here. Steven Schiff's bike is a 2024 Gas EX 450. And by the way, Christy, there, is there a front disc rotor protector behind that behind that bag? I'm dying to know. Actually, I think you sent a second photo. I could probably check it. I didn't look that hard. Okay, this is Steven's bike, 2024 Gas EX450, which according to Trevor could potentially be the best bike in the world, but that's clickbait. Cycra Pro bend handguards because they just work. Precision steering damper. He says he's trying something new besides the standard Scott. Well, it's not Scott. It's the gold standard, and that's called Scott's. I run Scott's steering dampers. The steering stabilizer, by the way. So there's a lot of reasons I run those. And Scott Forward does not have any compromising photos of me that I know, but has always really supported my racing back when I was fast. Moto-minded stout mount to hold my Garmin mount. Indestructible, he says. Moto-minded does make good stuff. A Chirby's 3.2 gallon tank. So, Christy, by the way, have you noticed that this guy's giving me a lot more information? And his photo, if you want to look at the photo there, like that, your photo, I know where you're at. We won't talk about it, but you could have stood back a little bit and give it a little more panoramic view. We wouldn't see the lake or anything in the background, but you know what I mean. So, anyways, this a Chirby skid plate, cheap and good. Okay, a Chirby's 3.2 gallon teat, need that range for the desert. Okay, I don't think Chirby's likes the word cheap, but inexpensive. It's inexpensive. The Chirby skid plates, in all honesty, are great quality for the cost. And I'm not kidding. Chirby's doesn't even sponsor this podcast. They should. I need to talk to Brian about this. And he doesn't even want to come on the show. He said he did once, and then he's bailed out every time because the whole show would be me asking him for money to make this show better. Bulletproof shark fin, excellent product. There's no doubt about that. The rear shark fin. I don't see one in the front, right? Okay, good, because I might have an allergic reaction. Fastway exhaust tip, good and cheap. Well, there's that word again. I don't know if Fastway wants to be called cheap. We don't know. Moose by Mr. Wolf, and he says excellent feel. Yeah. There are people that really like the Moose balls, is what they are. Mr. Wolf Moose balls. And I just found out today, I saw something, interestingly enough, that they have ones that do not need lube, which I'm curious. I'm really curious. I've gone through my second set of tires on the Moose balls. I need to pull them apart. They're getting to the point where they're too soft for even trail riding. I haven't unbeaded the tire, like I haven't knocked it off the bead yet, but it's getting close to that. So I want to we're doing like a really intense Moose, we'll call it buyer's guide. And it's a comparison of certs, not a shootout, because they're all a little bit different. And Steven says, this is my desert bike. The motor is silly strong. Stock suspension works just fine for me. Click, click. Great show, Steven. Well, thank you, Steven. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the show. Let's take a look at his bike one more time. I'm going to start breaking this down and analyzing it. And Christy says he just has a plastic front disc protector. Okay, the plastic ones don't trigger me as much, by the way. So here we go. Wait, wrong photo. I got to get the right photo. Here's Steven's photo. We're going to make it bigger and start looking a little closer at this. This is basically a stock gas with a big gas tank, a nice disc protector, a good skid plate. It's out in a nice desert. The light's done proper with the photo. He's got his handguards on it. That's a sweet bike. I must have had just the right amount of mezcal tonight to be nice to the riders. But it's a decent photo, nice bike, good descriptions. Most of the spelling was correct. I liked it. But he's probably not in the chat, so it could be costly to his plea. Next on the docket. Anyways, yeah, the bike roosts. I'm not even going to bother asking the dinosaur because that was a really bad shtick to play. Hold on, I can ask someone else. I got another special guest in here to ask who how they think. What do you think about the bike? Hold on, what Hold on, I think I can. No, I can't do it. There's too many buttons to push right now. But Mr. Happy says that bike roosts also. Oh, how easily amused some people are, including me. Next bike. Oh, it's this one. Roosterendo. Bike number 3 comes to us from someone named Ricky Brabeck. Ricky Brabeck sends a picture of a 2024 Trail 125 Midnight Rider. No other information was provided. So the one thing I do know is this was sent in during my last show. Like while the show was going on, he thought that he could instantly submit a bike. He thought he was special or something. But nobody is special on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, and therefore this bike didn't win. But I'll tell you what, this bike usually doesn't sit outside. I know it's usually inside the shop. And so the fact that he took it outside the shop, that's a little bit extra effort to get it, because he knew I would have complained. But he didn't even get the full bike in the picture. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe it's just my cropping. Oh, it's a phone. He actually went out. It's a photography shot, as you can see. Went out, took a picture of the bike, ran inside, sent it to us, and thought with that he could win Roosterendo. And for that, this is a 100% endo. This bike is not because it's a Honda Trail 125. I've ridden this bike a lot, from where it's sitting right now, right down to the river, and I always get in trouble for like doing a donut or making a track or spinning the sand or making it so his truck's going to get stuck when pulling the boat out of the river. There's lots of issues with this bike, so it endos. But it does start. It's really quiet. It's a really good way to get your butt home if you maybe had a little bit too much river time and you need to get back to where you're supposed to go. Evidently, I've heard stories about this. I don't know anything about it, but that's why it's the Midnight Rider. And it endos. So just take that, Ricky. Yeah. Okay. So we are deep into I'm getting tons of messages, like people just came off of a meeting that I was supposed to be on, but they don't realize that I have a podcast that I have to do. I should probably just call them and do my business live on the podcast. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's not important at this moment. But what's important right now is that me, Mr. Happy, and the dinosaur pick the winner of Roosterendo. And it's a real easy one because I said if you're in the chat and you can answer the questions or show up or whatever, post something, I think you're going to win. And Christy, I got to get the name right. Come on. It's Jake Christie is the winner of Roosterendo. He even has a Taco Moto part on his bike, which makes it that much easier to pick it. So, yeah, congratulations, Jake. You You want Steven, nice runner up. You can just submit another one next time, and you probably win. And that's especially if you're on the chat. So that's what we have going on tonight on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, brought to you by all of our amazing sponsors. Of course, Tacomoto, that's tacomoto.co. If you have like ECU needs for your KTM or Honda dual sport bike, maybe you need some tricky plastic things. They have lots of stickers, but they have the tidy tails, lots of tidy tails, lots of little wiring fixes for stuff you need. They have the fuel pump for the newer Austrian bikes that leave a large portion of their gas down at the bottom of the gas tank so you don't run out. You can get that from Tacomoto. They are located in Las Vegas, a local company. And I don't want to pick on Mike, the owner, but I'm going to, just because I never do that. I would never pick on a sponsor. But Mike asked a question the other day in some group that I came across. I didn't even know it was Mike, but I just read it. And he said, I'm planning on doing some score racing next year, some Baja racing. I don't know if he said score, but he said Baja racing next year. But I think he meant score because he does sponsor some awards for the motorcycle racers in the Baja 1000. And maybe other races as well. I don't pay that much attention. But anyhow, so he said and then I talked to him today when we were talking about Roosterendo. I wanted to make sure everybody was all paid up. And I didn't do my homework on some of this stuff. Imagine that. So Mike says he wants to do it, and he's going to start riding from Vegas up to Beatty, which is, I'd say, 100 miles, 70 miles, 80 miles, 100 miles. You can make it a lot of miles if you wanted to. Now I don't know the distance. It seems like from here it's about 80 miles. So same from where he's at in Vegas. He's kind of north Las Vegas. He wants to start riding from Vegas and Beatty to back, Vegas to Beatty and back to get in shape. And he was kind of asking about some routes and thinking about this would be training for a Baja race. And I suspect he was talking about Ironmanning or maybe, so when I talked to him today, he said, no, it's really more about just kind of getting in shape. He wants to make sure when he's a little bit older, he's good to ride and in good shape and all this stuff. And so, my monkey brain started thinking, because I know where he's located, I know the routes between there, and I go, after you've done that maybe once or twice, why the hell would you want to do that? And I go, oh, wait, because you're going to race score. And then I thought, why the hell would you want to do that? I mean, well, I know why. Because you want to race score to say that you did it. I don't know of anybody that is riding those courses that's having fun. And I'm saying this as the motorcycle race director for the Nora Mexican 1000. So I have a big, huge, crazy conflict of interest, by the way. But the reason I have a conflict of interest, and I think everybody should, is because I value every mile and every minute I get to put on a motorcycle riding. I really do enjoy it. That's why I don't do as much test bike riding as I used to. I don't do as much product test because I started getting to the point where I'd rather ride my bikes that are set up for me, that work perfect, and they go the distance I need them to go, and they have the right kind of tires for the terrain I'm riding, and that I don't want to hop on a bike that I have to carry a gas bag on my back, and they have crappy tires on them that I know that are substandard, or maybe they don't have mooses in. So if I get a flat and I don't want to carry all the tools and change it to sound like I'm complaining right now, but I'm not. I'm complaining about riding brand new motorcycles. No, yes, no. So I value all the time I ride a motorcycle. And when I got hired on to work with Nora to make the motorcycle courses, I wanted two things. Number one, I wanted it to be much, much safer. I wanted the racing to be as safe as possible down there, which included getting the motorcycle off the car courses. So we have separate courses, or we have a big enough time differentiation where we do not have car and bike interaction. And number 2 was that the courses were fun to ride. They were not beating you up. They were not horrible, torturous, hundreds of miles of hoop-de-doos and 2 giant ruts and all this stuff. So now I'm talking to Mike right now. Like, why would you want to go do score when you could actually go down there and do something that's really fun? Because if you want to get 6 days of good racing, go do the Mexican 1000. And then the complaint is, well, it's Rally Roadbook, and it's like, yeah, that's probably one of the only ways that we can make the course the way we want to make it and keep it safe, because we do not mark the course. In the cars, they get a GPS file, and they have a big screen TV inside of there with all the dangers clearly marked. And they also have a road book, and generally have a co-driver that's driving with them that gets to look at the road book and look at the big screen TV with all the pin marks on it and say, that's dangerous, that dangerous. So they're able to navigate it. But on a motorcycle, you don't have that luxury. Even though we did this year bring back, and I think we're going to have it for the 1000 also, the GPS class, which basically we get the Stella unit to beep at you anytime there's something that's dangerous nearby. And it worked in the 500, so we're going to do this again. But the courses have to be different because it's different kind of racing, roadbook versus riding a line on the GPS. Although I don't think a good roadbook rider would be beat by somebody on a GPS line, in all honesty, unless they got really lost, which good roadbook riders don't. So his question was, he wanted to go riding all the time to get in shape to do that. And like, why would you want to go torture yourself if you're going to dedicate that much time to riding? Why don't you go do good riding? Why don't you go to places where the riding is more fun and enjoyable? I understand that you're trying to get a workout, but you can get a workout on better riding than just go riding something that's kind of miserable. Because what he would have to do, just because you're between a military base and a place that's not rideable, is ride on really shitty power line roads with tons of washouts and a lot of rocks, which is 70% better than riding down a lot of what the Baja race courses are, which is 2 giant ruts that are so deep that you can't get out of them, combined with hoops, and all the rocks have rolled down to the bottom of the ruts that you now can't get out of, and you can't even ride off to the side because every bush that's on the side is either going to rip you off your motorcycle or poke you with a giant spear. Oh, wait, I just described Baja racing. If you like riding in hoop-de-doos and that stuff, great. Then you should do it. If you like torturing yourself, or that kind of riding that kind of tortures your body and my brain, I even hurts my brain when I have to watch it. But if you want to go do that, that's fine. Go do that. But back to his thing, I don't want to dissuade him from going and doing what he wants to do, which sounds like it's score racing, and to ride in those 2 ruts forever with just miles of hoop-de-doos and rocks and just shit and silt. Not to mention the silt beds. Oh yeah, the silt beds. And then having trucks try to run you over. Guys with more money than they need to care about your life, they just run you over. Those people. But back to my original point. So if you want to practice for that, you need to go over to Gene, just over there where they have that thing called Pounder's Alley or whatever it is that runs around the outside of it's the big spectator zone they have for the Mint 400 and some of the other off-road races over there. And there's probably a good 15 miles of just relentless hoop-de-doo because it's dug by trophy trucks. And it's the same trucks that are racing down in Baja and all the cars that do that kind of stuff. And you should just, if your goal is to go do score, you need to find the 15 miles of this crap that I'm talking about. There's probably 100 miles of it out there, very easily identifiable. Find that and just go ride there. Don't go try to go to Beatty. That would be too much fun and too nice, even though I would maybe do it once or twice, which I've done it, and I don't want to do it anymore. I would go over there and just go back and forth on the Pounder's Alley and dig that. So I'm not passionate about this. I don't care what you do. Yeah, I am. I really do. I really do care. the other thing about all that is that we at NORA, we are suffering for motorcycle entries, and there's so many people that talk about wanting to do this kind of stuff, and then they go and do Baja and they get soured on it. Or it's, I mean, I understand if you want to go finish the Baja 1000, you should you go do that, and you're gonna go, well, that fucking sucked, but I did this. And I hated racing Baja when I raced Baja. I did not like racing it. It was just plain too dangerous. It was rough, but there was a lot of pressure on me because I was expected to do well, to ride and do well, and you had to kind of go faster than you probably should have. And Nora's a little bit less thing, and I don't think most people are going out. They're going down to have a good time. And when you talk about it, they're going down there for the experience of going down there and doing the race, not necessarily the riding is kind of this thing you have to do to make it part. And most people do the pre-running where you can kind of stop and rest and all that stuff. Try doing that during a race, then you get run over by trucks that much easier. So thanks, Street Sweeper. I appreciate that. He says I'm speaking with a lot of truth and experience and concern for people that I think should have a better time in life. So if your goals are to do that, then do what I said. Do not ride to Beatty. Maybe once or twice. And then when you think, God, this sucks, then go do the other stuff. And then maybe I'll see you at NORA in end of April, beginning of May. The Mexican 1000. Sign up. I think you can sign up on the first part of the year, January. They actually had a meeting tonight that I was supposed to be at that they were going to tell you how to sign up for the race. But I'm sure they recorded it, and you can watch it on the YouTubes. It's probably a lot better than watching this video or a podcast or pod show or whatever it is. But with that, Mike, to anybody who wants to go down and race in Baja, come see us at NORA. Learn a little bit about rally navigation. It's kind of fun. It's really fun, actually. And the road books are not that hard to do. And if you really want to just have somebody put a line in front of you, we can give you the GPS class, but I don't think it's going to be as fun. I need to reach out to all those built well guys. I talked to my buddy Victor about that, which he's not on the show tonight. Victor's not here. I didn't get my ordinary thing. I made Victor go run 5 miles with me on Saturday or Sunday in someplace around Torrance. We'll call it a little beer run we did together. And he's probably dead, nearly dead. Because I don't think he runs that far from ice. You know what I mean? So, okay. Well, hopefully I've answered everybody's questions. They've stopped coming through in the chats. That is thing. Christy, remind me with an email that you won the contest tonight, please. Reply to the email. I'll try to remember, but a lot of times I forget everything I do for the last 2 hours on this show. I don't know if I have any other interesting stories to tell on the thing. I made some notes, which is kind of a strange thing. I could read one of Jerry's poems. I might spare you that, but hey, his books, like Coffee Brewed with a Graveyard Mist, are available on Amazon. And you can always, if you want to be part of the good team with a bad name, you can get a sticker at Fuck You Racing. Yep. Like shirts like this come out every once in a while because 9 out of 10 people enjoy dirt bikes, and this is proven fact. I'd like to thank all the sponsors. I think I'm going to switch it up here at the very end. I'm going to have a little snap of this Grand Mayan tequila. This is a nice silver tequila, triple distilled in this very nice bottle. Again, going to do a tequila podcast starting soon, January, at Ramiro's Mexican Restaurant. VIP tickets. We'll auction them off on the next show. I was going to do a giveaway of something. I have this box of junk that I'm collecting, and I was going to figure out how to do some nice giveaways on this show, in case you were wondering. And somebody just texted me and told me, "Thank God you're doing your show because the meeting you just missed was painful." That's why I like it when people have meetings on Tuesday night. All good. Let's see. You can always get your little Tenorate trays at Print Forge Labs. hey, we're going to get a Yamaha WR125. So if you're thinking about getting into the dual sport world, Yamaha's making a WR125 that might have enough power for you. So check that out. We did a Triumph versus Gas video the other day, and Trevor did it. So I wasn't very satisfied in the final product. And I started poking around, and I'm going to talk about Moto Media right now. I've seen, like, people are talking about the different Triumphs, and I've seen them described in every which way. Like, there's not a general consensus on whether they're good or bad. And I've said they're good, because they are. But, some people say they have lots of power, and some people say they don't have any power, and some people say they handle good, and some people they don't handle good. Trevor said they handle really good in the desert. They're like really good at going fast in the desert, and they're stiff, because he compared it to a gas, which is maybe not as good as going fast in the desert, although one of our viewers tonight would disagree with him. But it's all over the place. And it's interesting because I've noticed, like, since Triumph's come on board, there's not an authoritative voice anymore on like, there. Before, everybody would, like, wait to see what Motocross Action said. And I'm not kidding. Like, when I was at Dirt Rider, like, you'd watch the guys at Transworld and the guys at some of the other places. Like, they were like, what's Motocross Action going to say? And Jody was pretty good about not saying it, especially pre-internet. Or not pre-internet. Get your test up in 10 minutes. They would kind of hold back. And everybody like, what are they going to say? Because they thought that they had to say that because that's what it was going to be. And right now, everybody's saying all this different stuff, and a lot of these guys that are posting this stuff, they don't know what they have an opinion, but they don't trust their own opinion, and they don't have enough background to be solid in their opinion. So I'm sort of watching with this Triumph stuff. It's like it's all over the place, and nobody's thinking. And I'm kind of waiting to see what's going on with the Ducati. Same thing. It's people are all over the place on the way that they're evaluating it, and I think a lot of it is they want to say it's good or it's bad. They want to tell you that a bike is, oh, this is the best bike, and then or this bike sucks because this, or this motor does this, and blah, blah. And they can't even describe it because they don't have enough experience, or they don't know how to do back to back. They can't just test a bike by itself, and they don't have enough depth to pull from what they don't have enough background or depth to pull to even kind of compare it at that location. And then when they get them all together, like some of these comparisons and stuff they do, it's almost like I can kind of see that at the comparison, there's somebody that has a voice, and everybody goes, "Oh, okay, that's what we're all thinking now." And so, interesting. So we're working on a 450 comparison, is what I'm really trying to lead up to. And just wait till I tell you what I think, because it'll be I'll lay down the law. Yeah, I'll try. Nope. Hey, when I used to do the comparisons and stuff, and I even told a guy yesterday, a guy was explaining how a bike worked to me, and I'm like, dude, you need to be one of our test riders, because you disagree with everything I say. Like, if I say I like this, you say you don't like it, and you have a really good explanation for why you don't like that. And which I think for most people in the general audience, that they don't necessarily like what I like in the beginning. They might come over to it. They might come over to it after a while. They might end up there. But usually you have to get old and bitter and a couple other things before you see the way I do. So anyways, that's all I have to say. I just did that so I could make this show almost 2 hours, and then we could probably get demonetized easier on YouTube for me saying something bad. Yeah. Good on you for sticking around this long. All 17 million of you. We will maybe see you next week. I have no idea what's going on in the world of Jimmy and where I'm going to be. I think I have some other plans. I think is it Christmas or something? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays if it is. I'll be riding my dirt bike. In one way, shape, or form, I will be doing some dirt bike stuff and having a great time. And I hope you and your families and your friends are all doing the same. I love living in Awesome World, and I want you to live there too. And so pop some willies, and we will, maybe if it takes that long, we'll have to see you in the next year, episode 267 or so. So with that, everybody, we will see you out on the trail. Oh yeah, turn off the show. This takes a little while. Buttons to push and things to do.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.